Hello, and welcome to today's LLL Esports Roundup. We're going to cover the games from this morning and preview the games for the next 2 days. Tomorrow I will not have an upload because I have other things I need to do, and that will be the case going forward on Wednesdays, unless the schedule allows me otherwise. Predictions: I'm 1-2, went 1-1 on the day. PSG Rainbow 7. I thought PSG would win. I believe I predicted a 2-0, and well, that ended up being the case. This was a true stomp, in the sake of the definition. Maple was my MVP. I thought his Nico and Jace were disgusting. I thought Wako probably was MVP for Game 1, but when you take Game 2 into account, Maple across the board was very good. Wako 9-1-11, 27% of damage in the win. Maple 8-1-15. When your carries die a combined 2 times, you could say it was a bit lopsided. CEO 3-7-7, 38% of damage in the loss. Actually very standard for Rainbow 7 if you look at their damage percentages and things like that. That CEO came in with a lot of the team's damage relative to other AD carries in the tournament. Everything going through him, and he had a couple bright spots. I think Ezreal in particular looked very good for one team fight. I mean, when you really all you can pull is that's unfortunate. Ozzy in top lane was able to solo kill Bong. Bong was not put on tank duty necessarily. The Renekton was not great, but at the same time, he was not on an Ornn or a Scion or Malphite or something. So he had a little bit of agency, but PSG were just simply better. Maple pacing Myru in mid lane, Junjia ahead of Adi, given the fact that Adi is a pure facilitator in my opinion. At his core, he's been around the block for a long time. Junjia really paced him. J4, a big pick, honestly, I think, when it comes to tournaments like this. Especially when you are trying to facilitate and get players ahead, J4 is one of the best ones to do that, and we're seeing why he's banned against certain junglers. Bot lane, though, Wako and Woody really did excellent. Woody really looked on point. And Rainbow 7, that win against GAM at MSI was nice, but at the same time, there is a lot to, a lot of growth needs to be had. Luckily for them, the bot lane is very young and has a lot of potential going forward. And Myru's is not an older Korean import. Now, does he stay? Obviously, we've seen many Korean imports in Latin America over the years, Keen and Tempt being two that really stick out to me. I believe Tempt played there. He played in, I think, Turkey as well. This wasn't a shock. Now, GAM and Loud. So Loud win 2-0. I thought GAM would win this one 2-1. I did leave it open for Loud. But at the same time, I don't think I gave enough credit to the fact that GAM came to Korea so late. Korea and Vietnam, Vietnam in general struggles to get visas. Struggled to get visas at last Worlds. Struggled to get visas again this time around. Asian Games backed them up, forced some of these players to play on a patch that was 7 patches ago up until 10 days ago. So, very behind, and that played a big role. Rout was MVP. He had a penta in Game 1 on the Kesa. Definitely popped Slater in the mouth. Really got after him. You got to give him his flowers for doing so. Played very aggressive, unlike the way that the numbers would indicate, and I don't think that is... today would devalue those numbers. I still think that Loud have a certain way of playing and a certain way that they do things, but the way that Rout played after Slater was something different, and frankly, playing different in that way is going to be important if they want to succeed. So he went 17-3-12, 36% of damage. Like I said, the Penton Kaysan Game 1. Tinones 5-1-17 in mid. Kiea 6-10-5, 33% of damage in the loss for GAM. He did solo kill Robo in Game 1. Robo doing very well in the Kaysante in Game 2. Game 1, Loud smoked GAM. I don't think that's any correlation. They crushed them. Game 2, GAM, in my opinion, threw. I guess throwing has different definitions to different people. In my opinion, if a team has a gold lead, that is significant. We have item advantages. We have objectives as well. We are in a position to win the game. You then have to do something with that lead, but that is, if you don't do anything with it, you're throwing. By sitting and not doing anything, that is throwing. You don't have to make a bad play outright to throw. You can sit on your hands and do nothing and throw a game away as well. So, different. That's talking about BDS Golden Guardians a bit, game 2. But in this case, GAM were in a really nice position. They had Baron. They were going to try and go to Soul Point, if not get Soul. I think it was Soul Point. And Slater got caught out. And by getting caught out, Loud were able to take Drake, back the game up a bit, allow a little bit more scaling, and that kind of threw it away. They had a gold lead of 4.5, 5K, and they had Baron. Threw it away. Now it's 1.5K. That's non-existent now in terms of a lead across 5 players. 1.5 might as well be nothing. And you've lost the Drake advantage. You've lost tempo. Now you're losing inhibitors, and Loud just took the game. I thought also Levi on the Lee Sin was absolutely disgusting. Levi is very good. And I want to say this carefully because yesterday when I said it about River, some people got confused. In my opinion, if I took all 10 players in this game and I ranked them, Levi is the best player outright as a player. In this series, Route is MVP. Not only because he had a penta, but the way he played was excellent. But if I had a draft today and I had only these 10 players to pick from, I'm picking Levi first. I thought that he was trying very, very hard, but he can only do so much. The Nocturne was a great pick because every time Levi tried to kick, Croc would use his ulti. Now all of a sudden, the kick isn't as useful. Maybe hell, it doesn't go off. And frankly, this reminded me, I thought about this today at work. I think this is how IG beat JDG. If I recall, it was the Nocturne. The thing is, like, when you play a team that has a hands diffy over you, or just frankly a better team fighting team, better in the chaos, which Vietnam thrives in, if you turn the lights off, that really helps. And that really helped. That allowed Loud to really take game 2 after they put themselves in a position to come back in that one. And offset the lead by GAM. So that was big, I thought. I thought, honestly, if I had to pick an MVP for Game 2 by itself, it would be Croc. But over the entirety, it was Route. Robo also, Game 2, like I said, looked good on the K-Sante. Tinones, meh. Being better than KD is not saying much. KD is not very good. At the bottom of this pool at this tournament, the mid laners are just all pick your poison. Now, in terms of sneak peek for tomorrow, going over CFO DFM. No interactions. There's nothing really to go over here. None of these players have crossed paths in a competitive setting at an international event. So the way I look at it, you have 2 facilitator junglers in Gemini and Steel that have been around the block. Top lane, Rest, APAman. Rest should have the advantage because APAman is literally coming out of retirement to play for DFM in Worlds. And then you have a case where Arya, Utapon, and then Jimmy and Shun. So Jimmy and Shun, 2 very young players. This is their first event for Jimmy and Shun second. And it's a big moment. Xiaoxi in bot lane has been around the block, played with Flash Wolves, I believe, towards the end of their tenure in the PCS, and has played in the LPL. So that will be an interesting matchup. Xiaoxi versus Harp, LPL versus an LCK player. But Utapon, Arya has looked cracked in the past. Jimmian and Arya will be a very competitive matchup. And then Utapon, obviously a veteran, one of the oldest players at this tournament. If you take away APAman, he could be the oldest. That's kind of what it's going to be like. Is it going to be the rookies and they're going to show up, or is it going to be the veterans, the experienced players, and somehow APAman gets through it? BDS Team Wales. So given the Vietnam situation, I think this is going to be kind of lopsided. Unfortunately for Vietnam, GAM and Wales are kind of screwed. I think that as far as Wales is concerned, Glory and Artemis are good players statistically. We're going to see if they're world class when they get to this event. And if they can keep up with Nuke and Crowney, I'd like to think they can. BA at support is world class. And I have no qualm in saying that I do still think he's better than Lebrov, despite Lebrov beating Huhi, which is supposed to be like some sort of, validation, I guess. But, like, this is going to be a bit of a diffie, I think, just because Wales, BDS should have an advantage over Wales by itself, but given the lack of scrim time, the issues with Vietnamese players trying to come over to Korea to play, that doesn't help things. And then PSG Loud. So this one we have something to talk about. They played against each other at MSI 2023. Caveat, 9 of the 10 players are the same. Maple is now in for Ubao, and that's a big deal because Uniboy, frankly, is washed, if not very good anymore. And Maple is washed, but still good enough to get things done. So when PSG won 2-0 with Ubao, we're looking at comparisons here. This was what you would call a stomp or a crushing or destruction, or this is what it is. So Ozzy, 5-0-21, 19% of damage in top, against Robo, who went 0-10-4 with 15% of damage in the loss. That is what happens when Robo flips tails. Today he flipped heads. Junjia, 10-23, 21% of damage in the jungle. Junjia is an excellent player, probably the best player on PSG outright. Croc, 6-9-5, 19% of damage in the loss. That was a competitive matchup when they played. Bot lane, Wako Woody, 15-7, 45, 39% of damage in the loss. Root and Seos, 5-16, 12, 47% of damage in the loss. Seos died a lot in that one. So, how do I feel about this? I think it's still slightly favored one way. Obviously, I don't give my predictions out, because people do pay for those, so I don't give them out in this video. It's just, I think the top side will be interesting. If Robo can flip heads again, that should be an interesting matchup. I think Junjia and Croc can be competitive. Maple and Tinones, it's the battle of old men. And then the bot lane, Root. If Root plays the way he did today, I think that's going to be very competitive down there. But it's a matter of a lot of ifs here. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And I hope to see you again tomorrow.